Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us. And I think everybody is connected now. I don't see any more trying to connect through the internet. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And what we can do is we do have myself, I'm the community-based outreach doula, lead outreach doula. And then we also have Vonda here as well. And Vonda is the BDS.
Yes, my name is Vonda and I am the Birth Doula Services lead doula. Thank you for coming, everyone. Good to see you all.
Okay, so we have on your screen, you will see our vision, mission, values, and actions. And I can start with the vision. So our vision is thriving children, healthy families, powerful communities. Does anybody want to do the mission?
I can read our mission. Our mission is to provide community-based support during pregnancy, birth, and early parenting to nurture strong foundations that last a lifetime.
And I can do our values.
Okay.
Oh, Vonda, go, you go.
Okay, thank you. Our values are respect, holding complexity for people and cultures, family, relationships are the heart of what we do, justice, boldly disrupting oppression.
All right, I'll do the first half of the actions. How about that? And then I'll leave space for someone else. All right, actions. We nurture, love, and care for our clients and each other. We welcome people to come as they are, and we accept their truest selves. We recognize and celebrate the intersectional identities of our clients and ourselves. We provide culturally congruent services that amplify client and community voices.
We hold space for our clients' choices in determining the care they need and deserve. We regularly integrate critical feedback from the community, clients, and each other to stay connected to our values. We challenge all systems of oppression. We are creative and work with systems without compromising client needs or the quality of our services. We are scrappy and badass. We don't stop until we get the job done. So right here, folks, you'll see the agenda, 5 o'clock, welcome. I know it's a little bit past 5 o'clock. And then we have our introductions and our doula panel. So we can officially do introductions. So we do have some of our doulas that are joining us today just to give a little bit of insight on their day-to-day doula journey. So let's go ahead and have, we can go popcorn style, and whomever would like to go first. I think I'll go, Cashew, would you like to go first?
Sure. Hi, I'm Cash. My pronouns are they, them today. My current role at Open Arms is a birth doula. I don't have any past role. Actually, my past role at Open Arms is that I was once a client who received birth doula support. And what does a day in the life of a BDS doula look like? Are we jumping into questions already? Should I go there?
We're just doing intros for now.
Okay.
Awesome. Can I pass it to Vonda?
Sure, thanks, Cash. Again, my name is Vonda Priolo, and I am lead doula for the Birth Doula Services program. Prior to this role, I was a doula for the BDS program. So, and I have been with Open Arms for, I think it's coming up on 6 years now. So, and I will pass it to Memory.
Hello, everybody. My name is Memory Gladstone, and I am the lead outreach doula with the community-based outreach doula program. Previously, I was the community-based outreach doula serving the American Indian Alaska Native community. And then prior to that, I was a breastfeeding peer counselor as well, and serving the American Indian Alaska Native community. And I will go to I will go to Kristen.
Good afternoon, everybody. It took a second for me to unmute. My name is Kristen Travis. I am a community-based outreach doula serving the Black community. I use she, her pronouns. I've been with Open Arms in one capacity or another for about 6 years. And prior to this, I started out as a volunteer with Open Arms before the core program was fully formed. And once the core BDS program was formed, I became a part of the BDS program. And then shortly after that, I became a part of the outreach doula program. So served in a lot of different places, as many folks have. And so I'm glad to be here.
Kaylin hasn't gone.
Kaylin is running a bit late. I think we could send
We
it.
could do Hawa. Hawa, I see Hawa's on.
Okay.
Oh, hi. Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, great. My name is Hawa Igal, and I'm one of the outreach doula for the Somali community. I've been working with Open Arms 12 years. So welcome for everybody. Nice meeting you.
Thank you so much, Hawa. And okay, Betty.
Sure. My name is Betty Hernandez. I'm the Latinx community specialist for the birth doula services. I've been with Open Arms almost 6 years, I think, 5 to 6 years. I missed the time, and I'm a birth doula, and I'm lactation support for Indigenous people, and parenting support for the Latina community. So yeah, thank you. I'll be passed to Elizabeth.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ellie or Elizabeth. I'm the Birth Doula Services Program Coordinator. I've been with Open Arms for a little less than 3 months. So I'm pretty new. I'm very happy to be here and to support all my colleagues. And yeah, if you all have any questions directed to me, feel free to call me out.
Hey, Emily.
Hello, everyone. I'm Emily. I am the program administrator for the Birth Doula Services program. Been with Open Arms since January of 2021. Also a birth doula. And let's see, who hasn't gone? Kate, do you want to introduce yourself? Okay.
Yeah, I'm Kate Will-Hyperkel. I'm the lead program administrator, and I previously was outreach doula administrator and then a practicum student before that. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you, everybody, for all of those wonderful introductions. So we are going to move on to the wonderful questions underneath our intros. So question 1 is, what does a day in the life of a BDS, or well, BDS is short for Birth Doula Services, or community-based outreach doula, CBOD for short, what does that daily life look like? And I wanted to pass it to Hawa first because Hawa's traveling.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
Hawa, go ahead.
Okay, great. It's You guys can hear me still, right? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So before the pandemic, like the COVID happened, we do slightly different things. And because when you're at the office, like you arrive at the office, you have to look at your notes that just to see things that you guys talk about with your clients. And after that, just prepare yourself, like handouts, things that, you know, maybe mother needs, or the support, or like referral. So gather before you do any visit, you know, before your home visit, because you only have like 45 minutes or like an hour to cover all this topic and to help the mother, like her needs. So time go really fast. So just prepare that, and after that, you know, we just pick up an office and do home visits. And people do different things for notes. People take like while the mother asking questions or talking as they kind of having conversation. But for me, because I've been doing for so long, so everybody have their own style. So like before I took off to the office, go back to my next visit, I do write in the car, like I have a note there, and then I write it down, because if you don't write it down, then you forget like the conversation you guys have, or things that, you know, mother needs, because you're not only doing her, you're doing like maybe 3 or 2 visits at the time. And then and there's so much you guys have to learn more as you guys, you know, continues working with Open Arms, because you have to do so much, and not only you attend birth, but you're doing PFR, something called first promotion relationship. And then if you're doing that, it's like 10 sessions for the mother. So imagine like, you know, all of your clients, if they're doing PFR, so you forget things easily. So you have to like have style. Do you want to do front of the mother, or like you want to do in your car, the notes? So it's up to you. After that, you just, you know, go back to the office, or, you know, like if you have 2 visits that's close, you can just prepare your day at the office, like when you arrive, like in the morning, like have all things that you need, gather like the handouts and whatever mother asks for, her needs are. So by the time you go those 2 visits or 3, then you know, right? Like then you don't have to come back to the office to do trips. So, and then, you know, like you come back to the office when you're done all your visits, and you can do your notes, like if you have time, and you know, like it's much easier to do it like day by day, or like, you know, every 2 days, much easier that way, because otherwise it will, otherwise you will be left, like it will be hard for you to do. So what I like when I like to do is like you know, like it's kind of a habit you teach yourself, like do the notes. Sorry, I'm having mine. For that day or like next day. Sure, like if you need support, we support each other. Like if you need a referral that you don't have, because here what it is, like you don't know everything, right? Like you're learning, we're all learning together, we're helping each other. If you have any question, or like if you're having a hard time with your client, that's where you know, when you come back, you go like seek for your help, for your coworker support, you know, because we do have something called, I'm sorry, I'm traveling, I'm just forget easily things. Weekly, we have weekly to talk about things that, you know, that you're going through, or like if you need anything, support. But you can always do that with your coworker, like if they have a time, right? Like if they have a time, because there's many, you can just grab it like, hey, like I need referral. We're very good with that. We support each other. And then after that, you know, just be prepared for the next day. You know, if you're doing PFR, then you have to print out a handout. So many handouts. Go over with the video you have to watch, and then you have to reflect with the mother the next visit. You guys will learn about that. So basically, like, you're really busy with your, you know, all these hours that you have. If I'm forgetting anything, you guys can ask. I'm sorry.
Hawa, what's one thing you wish you would have known before you started as a CBOD?
One thing. So for me, like, when I start, the organization was new. We're the first people, you know, when we started with the OD, and I have the support, but one thing I didn't know, you know, like, that you have to do for what is it, like, I never say to know people. It's just that's my personality. Like, I just go do, right? Like, where you learn when you work, like, you know, like, you attending birth, like, you know, like, maybe 3 days, and then you woke up, then your client like needs something, cannot really wait, you know what I mean? Or like, you have to assess if this is necessary. So one thing that I didn't know is I didn't know how to say people no, but as I go working with open arms, you know, like, with reflective practice is like, we just, you know, like, focus, you know, like, you have to kind of come down, take a 5 minutes break of your time. That it's something that I never knew, like, taking time yourself, like 10 minutes, take a deep breath, right? Like, that can help. I didn't know in my life. So it's one thing that I learned, I didn't really know. So I learned through open arms, and I'm grateful for that.
Thank you, Hawa. Well, I want to respect that you're traveling, so feel free to log off if you want.
Okay.
And then BDS, I want to give y'all a chance to answer the day in the life of a BDS doula. I think Cash, I don't see Kaylin yet, right? So Cash, do you mind going next?
Oh, you're on mute,
You're
my
muted.
dear.
Thank you. For me, I work part-time as a doula, and so on my work days, I really try, and if I'm not in a birth fog, I'll log into our online system and kind of see, like, when was the last time I talked to each of my clients. If it's been over a week, I try and at least touch base by text, just, hey, how are you? How are things going? Just keep that relationship building going. Then I might have a pre or postnatal, and luckily we're back to in-person visits. So sometimes they're still virtual, but sometimes they're in people's homes, which I love. And getting to connect with families and getting to talk about their hopes, their fears, what questions they have, really be their advocate if they have, you know, concerns about their provider. I think that's such a unique role we have as doulas, is checking in, like, are you receiving good care? Do you feel respected and heard? And they're not always being asked that. And sometimes you get to try really good food from different families and different cultures, and just being in people's homes is really special. Then I usually come home and try to document as much as I can. I actually love the note-taking process because it helps me digest, like, what we went over in our visit. And as I'm documenting that, then I'm thinking, oh yeah, it would be really helpful to get them set up with a childbirth ed class. Or I remember them saying they still need these few baby items. I can put in a request or ask on my Buy Nothing group. And as I'm doing that, I keep an email going to the client with any follow-up resources, and kind of sharing, these were the highlights of our visit or things that you shared that were important. Here's some resources on what we covered, and here's what I'm hoping to check in with you on next time. Yeah, day in the life. One thing I wish, things I wish I knew before joining. I wish I knew, okay, well, I can say this from both a client perspective and a doula with Open Arms, that you showing up and being present on a continuous basis is enough. Like that in itself is so impactful to their care and their being witnessed and just following along in their journey. So don't ever doubt yourself. Don't feel like you need to have like all the trainings or all the bells and whistles in your bag. Like just show up, meet people where they're at, listen to them and love them. Like just give them unconditional love, and that will be a huge impact in their journey. Sometimes people don't always want to focus in on birth. Sometimes they want to talk about where their relationship is at, or some of their childhood triggers that might be coming up, or their housing situation. And just be open to following their lead. It may be helpful to kind of release any agenda that you have and give them information and knowledge, but also let them share what's important to them and follow up with resources in the ways that it counts most for them. And another tip I would say is always pack yourself like a self-care bag in your car, just in case you have a really intense birth or a really intense visit, or you're just on the go and feeling a little depleted. Like get yourself some good scents, something that grounds you, some go-to snacks, and just have it ready in your car so that you can touch down as soon as you're back in your space. And especially if you're going on to the next thing, that you can release some of that and go into it with excitement and joy. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that wonderful information. Kristen, did you want to?
Yes, I can share.
Yep, go ahead.
So definitely all the things that Hawa and Cashew said are super important to being a doula with Open Arms, no matter what capacity you're in. Since I'm OD, I can, and I was BDS, so I can kind of speak a little bit to that as well. And I can speak a little bit about the differences maybe between the two programs. So with BDS, you have a high focus on birth, but it's not the full breadth of what you're doing. So you are going to take a few more births generally in BDS. Typically, you are working with clients kind of all over King County and really getting an opportunity to know those communities, which may be varying communities, as well as you're getting that opportunity to be around at different hospitals. So you're out in the birth space a lot more. I noticed a big difference with OD, and I keep saying OD, so outreach doula or community-based outreach doula. So you might kind of hear me interchange OD, CDOD, kind of all the terms. So for the OD program, which is a longer term program, we work with clients from anywhere from when they tell us they're pregnant and want to work with us, all the way up until their baby turns 2. So essentially, we could be working with someone almost 3 years, which the birth is a really big high point. It's a point we always come back to. But in the scheme of things, the birth is like that. It's like, it's such a small piece of the whole entire work that we do. So, and I'm seeing a comment in the chat says the CBOD similar to the First Steps program. I wish I was familiar with the First Steps program, so somebody else might be able to answer that question a little bit better than me. I'm just not as familiar with how that program works. With the CBOD or the OD program, we're working with clients almost 3 years. So the birth is a high point, but honestly, the relationship is the big part. I've had clients where, their birth just went too fast. Or there was a situation where I might not have been able to make their birth. So you have to make sure that your relationship, that's still gonna be the core of what you do that whole time. So you're making sure that you are sustaining that relationship, so that you can build trust with your client, so they can feel comfortable with you, so you can see how their child is growing and developing. There might be things that we notice, and we're not there to diagnose anything, but there might be things that we notice developmental wise that needs to be addressed. Because we're working with their babies for so long, we do have assessments periodically to help the client to assess, what their child is doing. And it's not to say, oh, this is right or wrong. It's more to help them to know if there is some additional help that the child is going to need, some additional services, or additional resources that we might be able to help to connect them with and provide. So we have what's called an ASQ, and that's the Ages and Stages questionnaire. So we do that every once in a while. And that is really to assess and help to know what the child is doing. So that's a big difference between BDS, is that we are doing a lot more early development, early childhood learning. So we're doing a lot more in the home, kind of playing and watching the parents play and kind of finding out how do they play in their home. Some families are working with different languages, or they're coming from different cultures, or they're coming from, just a very different parenting style than maybe some of our other families. So we're getting an opportunity to just see how the entire community of folks, King County, Pierce County, and even a few Snohomish County families, we are getting a chance to see how folks throughout the state, help their child learn and grow. And it's just going to be so many different ways to see someone do that. And we help support that. How I was talking earlier about PFR, which is Performing First Relationships. We go through that process as well to, again, help the parent learn and understand their own parenting style. And they use those tools in order to learn and express and develop their own parenting style as well. So those are some big differences, I would say, between the two programs. With OD, another huge difference, I would say, between the programs is because you are building such strong relationships, clients tend to, they're just getting a chance to kind of show you their whole entire pieces and parts of their life. So you may see more pieces and parts of their life that deal with very challenging situations. It could be around housing, it could be around domestic violence, it could be around paperwork with various organizations. It could be, child protective services. It could be, hey, we are doing this really, really great thing with our job, or we're starting school and we've never done that before. So there's like a myriad of things, challenging and exciting that we may see our clients do. And a lot of times they're asking us, like, how do we do it? How do I start school? How do I start? I want to start school. I want to get a new apartment. How do I do that? So we get a lot of questions on, a lot of different types of paperwork. And so we very much rely heavily also on family support services. I know that is not necessarily yet, I don't think, a department we talked about, but we rely heavily on them to also help us manage some of the more challenging requests or resources that we might just not have enough information around, or maybe they have more and different information around some of those resources. So because of those relationships, we do get very in depth in their life, which is very rewarding. Just awesome to see a baby that was in the belly and kind of just a thought for the client, and not yet someone yet that they knew what personality they were going to get out of that baby. And then now the baby's talking and running around and, climbing on stuff and throwing toys and doing all the things and surprising you. A lot of times the babies will surprise you with all kinds of things that they know how to do. And it's just a joy to be able to see. And the parents will also surprise you with things that they learned as parents. So it is a joy to see all of those things. The one thing I did not know is how much I was going to be on the road. So this is just kind of with us, we do a lot of delivering items to clients. And when we are doing home visits, in person, sometimes we also do virtual. We've been doing virtual during COVID as well. But when we do in-home visits and deliveries, we are on the road. So know where your restrooms are, Target, Starbucks, know where all of those are, know where you want to go eat, kind of know how to refresh yourself, because you will be, it might be best for you to schedule a few of your clients together if they're in a certain area of town. And so you might be going from one meeting to another. And so you want to be fresh for that next meeting, just for when nature calls, be fresh for that, but also be fresh in mind in terms of you are clearing your energy from the last person that you met, and now going into a new home with new energy, new challenges, new exciting things. You don't want to be the person mixing those energies. So you definitely want to make sure to clear that space. And there was something else I was thinking about, but it might just have to come back to me. I'm trying to remember anything else that might be a big difference. The notes, how I was saying earlier about the notes are another big difference. I'm not as organized, but I would say it would really be to your advantage to be much more organized with your notes, and do much closer to what Hawa is saying, is have your notes in as you go along, because if you don't, it's just not going to be as easy for you. So you want to make sure that you are really keeping up on notes and any paperwork that is required of you, which we have for each of our clients. That's what I wanted to say. You want to make sure that your notes express what you did for that day, and also are respectful of clients' stories. You want to make sure that you're putting in information that expresses what you did, but you're not trying to tell all of their business in the notes. I think that that's very, very important, that you do keep their information as private as possible, if that makes sense. A lot of times we will kind of work you through and kind of talk you through on how notes should be set up. But it's much easier than when I started. We used to do everything on paper. Now we have boxes we can click and the things that we can type in that are kind of done for us. So yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you so much, Kristen, for all of that wealth of knowledge that you shared with us. And did Kaylin join yet? No?
I'm trying. Can you
Oh,
hear me?
okay. I
There's
can't
like
hear
so many,
you.
there's so many, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome, welcome.
There's so many permissions on here. I'm like, can you see me?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, great. Hi, guys.
Hi. So we are, well, I would like you to introduce yourself because we went through introductions, and then I don't know if you can see the screen of the questions.
I see an introductions and yes, what does a day in the
Okay, well, just if you can run down that would be wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Kaylin. I've been a doula since 2014. I started volunteering with Open Arms back in the day. And so I'm a postpartum doula and a birth doula, and I have a private practice as well as I work with Open Arms clients here and there. And my day varies greatly. I feel like there's a lot of freedom when you are working for yourself, and so like for example today was one of my off days, but I had to like do errands, so that's why I was late. But there's a lot of flexibility in organizing when you're scheduling your meetings, and I guess like a typical working day, I try to stack my meetings. So I have meeting days and then I have off days. And so it might be that I have like 2 or 3 prenatals that day, maybe an interview or 2, answering emails and whatnot. And then you're just always on call, I think, when you're a full-time doula. That's great, but exhausting. And so like protecting your free time has been something that I've found to be really important. And yeah, and you know, like with birth work, like you get a call. I have a really weird sleep schedule these days. I like I'm perfectly fine with getting woken up at like 1 a.m. to go hang out at the hospital for a couple hours and then go back home, get a couple more hours of sleep, and then go back to join somebody at their home maybe. And so yeah, just kind of that like underlying you're not really off, I feel like is a pretty common theme amongst all of us that do this work. I love it personally. I don't mind it. I just feel like you have to like have your time that's yours and protect your energy, and protect that time. And because it's really easy when you're juggling lots of clients for them to be like, oh, could you do like Tuesday at 2? And you're like, that's my free day. Like, I'm going to have to stop what I'm doing on my free day. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just rambling now. What is one thing I wish I knew before I started? I feel like you're always learning in this work. I don't feel like you're ever like, oh, I've got this. Like there's always going to be something that challenges you, or like, oh, I learned something new at every birth. now I wish I knew. I don't know. I feel like I tell my clients a lot, like, you wouldn't want to know what birth is like because it'd be too overwhelming. Like, just do one thing at a time, one day at a time, one contraction at a time. If you knew everything you were going to go through, you'd be like, nope, let's not do that. I'm going to have to stew on this one. What were the other answers?
One of the answers was being on the road quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, I guess the pandemic has really shifted things. I'm not on the road as much as I was, but there were days where I would drive laps around the city because, like, I had a client on the north end and the south end, and then the next day it would be the north end and the south end again. So yeah, maybe stacking the clients to be a little bit more localized. Yeah, I wish I wish I knew that like the level of commitment that it is to be a doula, because you kind of know, but then like there are certain things that other people do that you just are like, oh, that seems lovely and fun, but it's not really accessible to me. Like, for example, going away spontaneously for like a camping trip or whatever. Like, I don't know if you'll know that by hearing that, or it's not until you're actually experiencing it that you're like, oh, this is what it is to be on call. But I feel like a lot of newer doulas are partnering up and figuring out ways to kind of manage that work-life balance. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Kaylin, for all of that wonderful information and an insight into your daily life as a birth doula.
Yeah.
Do we have any other doulas that would like to share before we move on?
I just wanted to share one other thing that I didn't know, the difference between BDS and an OD is that because you're taking fewer births generally, you still are using a lot of your time on other things. So the level of work that you're doing and the amount of work you're doing is shifted, but it's the same in many ways. But you have to work a little harder, I think, sometimes to remain in relationship with other doulas because you're not at births as much. So me and Kaylin, we've talked a lot on different things. All of the doulas that are on my team, we rely on each other to back each other up. But when you are taking fewer births, you automatically kind of do come out of the community a little bit more, or you're not as visible, I should say, to the community as maybe you once were. So you have to work much harder to make sure that you continuously stay visible and are out there with the rest of the doula community too, because folks will still be there to want to rely on you for backup, and you want to be able to rely on them for backup as well. And you just generally also want to know what's going on in the space. So I felt, to me, the work to keep in the community was different because I wasn't taking as much births. I had to work a little harder on those kinds of relationships. So that was one big difference for me.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Okay. Okay, if we can move on to the next slide. So you'll see on the screen the scope of practice for BDS is our birth doula services on the left-hand side, and then our outreach doula is on the right side. And so we have prenatal support, labor and delivery support, birth outcomes, lactation and postnatal support. The OD, we have prenatal support, labor and delivery, birth outcomes, lactation, postnatal support, early education, attachment, and bonding.
Hey, folks, I want to be aware of our time. We have about 10 minutes left in our scheduled. Taylor, would you go to the next slide so they can?
Yeah.
So all of this will be accessible on the web page, but I want to make sure we have time for participant questions as well. So Taylor, would you go to the next one? So this will be posted, the recording will be posted on the website. Y'all can come back through and look at this. I think everyone's done a really good job of covering kind of the differences in the panel portion. So participant questions, I think, is our best next place.
Okay. Alrighty, well, let's go to the last slide. And who has any questions about either of the programs? And you should be able to unmute yourself to ask those questions. Or put it in the chat as well.
Maybe Taylor, would you rest on the like 2 pages back so folks can read through that?
Sure. And I also see that Elle has a question.
Hi, one of my questions is like in regards to when you accept a client, are you the one who's responsible for backup? Like if there's an emergency and you can't get to the birth, would you contact Open Arms and say this client needs a backup, or would you be responsible for finding that backup yourself?
Yeah, I can answer that question on the birth doula services side. So when you do take a client, we do, ask that if you are going to be away, or is a possibility that you, maybe you have 2 clients that are due close together, that you do line up some backup. So talking with other doulas within the team, and we have a couple of different platforms that we use for doulas to request backup for specific, dates or births that are coming. And if you cannot find anyone, then that's what the lead doulas come in. So if you, it comes up, you have no one, and maybe someone's gone into labor early and you are like, oh my gosh, I can't make it. I'm out of town, whatever. Then you would contact the lead doulas, and that's when we go to work to find someone to help go and support that person. So, but what we ask you to do is that you have backup, and maybe even creating layers of backup. So maybe a main backup and then somebody that can back up that person, and so maybe even a few layers, which is what a lot of doulas do. So, and it usually works out pretty good. So I hope that answered your question.
Thank you so much. In the chat, we have, what does the referral process look like? So we actually have an intake team. And so we have referrals coming in through our webpage from other organizations, and a lot of the times from the community. So for the Outreach Doula program, a lot of our doulas actually get their referrals from the community, and they will do intakes themselves and onboard clients just word of mouth through their religious events and gatherings and from the community. And we also have referrals coming in from our intake team. And that process looks like, because we are with our families for 2 years, we try to space out the births so that they're not back to back, because there's other things that are going on, like PFR. That's like a 10 consecutive week process. And so that's really time consuming. So we want to be mindful about the things that go on with our curriculum and spacing out the births. And so a lot of them are from the community or from our intake team and other local organizations that we partner with as well.
And that's the same with birth doula services. We get referrals through our community partners, or sometimes even it's the doula themselves. Maybe you've worked with someone and they really liked you, or you met some of their friends or whatever, and they're like, I want to work with you, or they've heard about your name in the community. So lots of times our doulas will refer people in, and they come in through our intake team. They do a full intake on them, and then they come to us, and then that's when we match them with the specific doula. If they're requesting a specific doula, then we match them with that doula, or we take all of the information that they've provided and what we know about our doulas and match them that way.
And we have, oh, go ahead.
Okay, I have a question about the OD group. About you say the doula could be matched about the community, the language, but how about the where the client live? For an example, if I live in Linwood, I have to serve a mom who live in Kent, in another place so far, or is more flexible about that, because I am thinking in the visit, for 2 years. I don't know if you get my question.
OD, so I think it's on some of the materials here. The referrals for OD, you're expected to take if they, sorry. Oh no, it was back on that last one, Taylor. If they're eligible, then you're expected to take them.
So our service areas, we currently serve Snohomish County, King County, and Pierce County. And we originally were only serving King County for a while, but now due to gentrification, we've actually noticed that a lot of our families are moving south as well. So we were able to push some of our funding into Pierce County. Not all of our outreach doulas are serving Pierce County. There's a selected number of folks and communities that we're able to serve in Pierce County, and in a selected number of clients we're able to serve in Snohomish at this time. Go ahead, Kate.
Sorry. So I was just, with OD, you're expected to serve folks who come in and are eligible. So that may mean you have people that are like North Seattle, and then you have people that are the southmost point of Federal Way if you're serving Olive King. It also means like BDS doulas have the ability to decline or accept a referral, and BDS doesn't really, if I'm speaking incorrectly, correct me, but doesn't require like a reason necessarily, or like in OD, you would be expected to serve any referral you receive as long as they're a community match and the funding is a match. That's part of the difference between the contract and full-time nature of the CBOD position. That being said, we try to work with people, obviously. Like if you live we have a doula who lives in Tacoma, we try not to give them wooden bill clients. But it is an expectation through our funding streams that all of the clients referred are served.
I can add to that too. I'm not sure how it's done for BDS, but we also track mileage in the OD team. So in terms of your driving, that can be useful for the visits that you do make that happen to be a little bit further out. Myself, I try my best to, if clients have places where they'd like to meet up, we do a lot of that too. So like I've met up with them at places that are in between. Sometimes clients have been able to come to the office for things like the food bag program that we have, or have been able to meet them at libraries or, public places. So a lot of times if clients are a little bit further out, just depending on their situation, they might be willing to be flexible. But at the same time, again, just like everyone said, we're expected to do that. But that mileage does help with, just with our gas and all those kinds of things that we'd be doing when we travel.
Yeah, and another thing is because I am a birth doula, and when I have a client, I know meet in postpartum more than a month, 2 months, 3 months, but I can imagine being there for 2 years with a mom. I think I will need more knowledge about a baby who is 2 years old, and I imagine that at the open arms, they will give you the, I don't know, the curriculum or the things we have to speak with the family during that years, and how is they engaged. If the families in general, they really want to continue with the program, is easy or it's hard to maintain, the people in the program during 2 years.
Yeah, usually, so where we start with the families and then after we do the birth and then postpartumly, that really builds a strong relationship because we're meeting with the clients quite frequently. So what the visitation looks like is we meet with the clients bi-monthly or bi-weekly, twice a month, up until the month that they're due. Then we meet with them weekly, and then we meet with them several times, 2 to 3 times each week for the first 2 weeks postpartumly. And then we go back to weekly after those 2 weeks for the first 3 months. And then once the baby hits 3 months, then we go back to twice a month visit. So it's quite frequent visits, which builds a really strong relationship. And the reason for those frequent visits is we've noticed that there's a lot of things that can go unnoticed when during that time, there's a lot of visits for the baby, but not necessarily visits for the birth person. And so there's underlying things that can be missed that we will be able to see and be like, oh, maybe you should actually consult your provider about that, or get checked out about that, because there's a lot of things that can happen during that time and support during lactation, postpartumly, things like that. So it is, once you have that many visits with a person, it really builds a strong relationships where they do want to engage with you. And then at the end, you become like family. So, and they want to call you with every exciting aspect of their life and things that are going on. And it's really hard to say goodbye at 2 years because you've spent so much time. And you're going to see them in the community. That's not going to be the last time you see them. You're going to see them in the community. You're going to see these kids growing up in other places. And you're like, hey, I for you. So it's families do want to engage at that point.
We had a question come in from Alana about onboarding, which kind of touched on the curriculum pieces for some of the OD.
Yeah. I can speak to the onboarding process for OD as well, and looping in, Andrea, what you were asking about. So the OD position is a full-time position. So we have professional development funds that everyone is able to access as a full-time employee. And so you can self-select if someone here is looking at the OD position and they're not as familiar with birth work, you can self-select that. If you're not as familiar with early childhood education, you can choose trainings that are more geared towards that. You're also eligible for all of the free funding trainings that we receive from funders. So we receive a lot of like infant mental health trainings for free, early education, child development, all of those trainings would be opened up with the CBOD position. The onboarding process, and we have a curriculum guide, yes, and materials that Howell was speaking to a little bit. We have like a file cabinet and a virtual file cabinet with materials. Because the OD program is longer and there are these other pieces, our onboarding process, we're hoping that we're hiring in September and then onboarding people starting in the beginning of October, with the idea that you wouldn't be taking births in the program until January. So all of October and November would be really intentional onboarding, and you might start seeing prenatal clients in November, December. But we close our offices for the last half of December. So really focusing on births in the OD program in January. I also want to say out loud, I know it's 6:03, and so I'm happy to stay on for any additional questions that I can support until 6:15. But BDS, do you want to answer the onboarding for BDS?
Sure. Did you want me to answer that, or Emily, do you want to answer?
Go ahead, Vonda, and then I can fill in anything if you want me to.
Okay, so yeah, so the onboarding process, so what we're hoping to do is go ahead and have all of our hiring done in September to start beginning to offer births to doulas in October. And kind of what our onboarding process looks like is you get hired in. We do orientation because there's quite a bit that that you need to be briefed on and given information on about working with the birth doula services program. So we do probably about I think it's like a half a day of orientation just to be briefed on the program itself, and then and how everything works. And then we also have I think last time we did it, we have a program that we work called Apricot that you have to be trained on to. That's where you put in all of your notes. That's where you, once we're assigned a client to you, that's where you'll go and see all your client information. So you'd have to be trained on that system and get all of your logins and all of that. So that's kind of what our onboarding process looks like. And then after that, then we start to assign births. If I left anything out, Emily, you can throw me in.
Vonda, is there a close, is the BDS application process already closed?
It closed on the 12th, I believe. Yes.
Yep, the 12th.
Yes. So that was just last Friday, this past Friday.
Thanks.
Is that a hard close date, Vonda? You can think about it. I will say that for OD, we've had situations before where we close the applications, we interview, we look at our applicant pool, and nobody's the right fit, and we come back to reopening applications. So I will just say that for the OD side of things, that's not unheard of. Actually,
That's a possibility. That's a possibility. Yes. That could happen. We are just getting started. So yeah.
Are the applicants that apply for the July 31st deadline, are those being considered with the recent close date?
for CBOD or BDS? For CBOD, we're looking at everyone all together.
Same with birth doula services. So I think what happened was we had BDS had an original closing date of the end of July, I believe, and then we extended it. So all of those are everyone that applied is being considered in that.
So there was this question in the chat that got overlooked that I thought was really important, and it was kind of asking how you manage having like a private practice with working with open arms. I would love if like any doulas wanted to talk about that, and then also maybe talk about like how it's different to work with open arms clients versus private practice clients.
Can I say quickly that you cannot with OD? Just really explicitly.
Is Cash still on? Cash,
yeah, I'm here.
Can you possibly answer that? I know that you do both.
Yeah, happy to. With doing both, I think what is important to keep in mind is, well, I would suggest starting out slow, right? Like if you're joining the BDS program, kind of getting a feel for what the workflow feels like, because it is different than private practice. And there are some things that are already taken care of for you. So like open arms is really great. They like match you with the client. So you don't have to do consults. You don't have to do, interviews and the back and forth of here's my contract, all of that marketing and logistical piece is taken out. So that's something that's different from when you're pursuing a private practice. So I would just say be mindful of kind of starting slow. Don't take on a whole bunch of clients at once. The open arms model is 313. So you are requested to do a minimum of 3 prenatal visits, attend the birth, and then 3 postpartum visits. So accommodating that in your schedule too with private practice clients. The work is similar, although the needs can vary. But I find that there's a lot of overlap. I think that private clients just have more layers to sift through to get to the meat of the matter, whereas open arms clients kind of come to you and they feel more held in their introduction to the program. And so they are more, a lot of times, more open and vulnerable with, this is where I'm at and this is what my needs are. I think each person will kind of figure out which they prefer, like if you want to take on more open arms clients or if you want to take on more private practice clients. I also I contract with Quilted Health as well as another organization. So they each kind of work differently. And for me personally, I love, love, love open arms clients. So I tend to make more space for open arms clients as a priority, and then fill in gaps with private practice clients. Another thing I'd say is, because open arms, the contract rate is a little bit lower than the industry standard out in the birth work field right now. Hike up your private practice fee, like whatever it takes for you to feel good getting out the door, like charge that, charge enough to make up the difference, right? Because if open arms clients had it to pay, I know they would. But private practice clients, like, they can funnel some of that fund down so that you are still held and well taken care of and can have your needs met. So don't be afraid to be competitive in your private practice rates. I don't know if there's more specific questions that you had, but I'm happy to, answer any.
We do have a question. Is it guaranteed that you will receive 1 to 4 birth clients per month? Is it possible that there may be months where you will not have any clients? I think that's probably focus on birth doula services.
Yeah. I would say that we probably, I'm not going to say absolutely guaranteed, but on average, you probably will have 1 to 2 births a month. And that's, it just depends, because there's some months that we're just like overflowing, everybody's having a baby. And then there's some months where it's like nobody's, having a baby. And then depending on, what areas you serve, we may not have any, for that area. And then we have funding for certain areas. So we have, most of our funding is for City of Seattle and King County. And then the more limited funding we have would be Pierce and Snohomish. So anything outside of King County, we have limited funding for, so we don't cover as many births per month for those areas. So I would say that there could be months where you may not get births if those are specifically the areas that you cover. So, but within City of Seattle and King County, yeah, I would say on an average of like 1 to 2 a month, sometimes more. I hope that answered your question.
Just one more question. You say if you are OD doula, you can have a private client?
You can't run a private practice. So you can't have it's a full-time position. So you can't have a separate job, right? That being said, Kristen hopped off. I was going to say, Kristen can attest. There are times, right, where you have a return client, you've been there for 2 of their other births, they want you there for the 3rd. If you're taking them as, you're going to talk with Memory as the lead OD to make sure the due dates don't conflict with your other clients that you have. But the expectation is that you're working full-time. If you're a CBOD, you're working full-time as a CBOD. We can't, like, for HR reasons, we can't tell you what to do in your free time, but we can say that it's not conducive for concurrent employment. So it's not a job that we expect to be easily done with other additional jobs on top of it. Like Hawa was speaking to, it can be overwhelming, it can be a lot to take on. And what we've seen, especially recently in the past couple of hiring buckets that we've done, is folks who are trying to do concurrent employment or concurrent school. It has been really challenging to hold that with the CVOD position. All of that being said, all of us are doulas and all of us are going to end up having like a random client here, especially return clients. But we really want folks coming to the OD position ready to give their whole work self to the OD position.
Okay, we're at 6:15. Is there any other questions before we close it down for the evening? Okay, well, thank you all very much for joining this evening. This will be posted on our website. If you know anybody that was interested in attending, they're more than welcome to watch this. That's the whole purpose of recording it. So thank you so much for your time, your questions, and for all of those wonderful doulas sharing your amazing information and the wonderful work that you're doing in the community. So thank you so much, and you all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.